as we do our little bit of analysis on basically it's almost like the thing of the week is making sure that we actually are consuming some media rather than just complaining about it.
Yes, exactly. And for this week, DB is going to go first, and with his.
So I ended up watching the new musical on Apple TV Plus, Spirited. Now, my dad was reading this as we were watching the movie. This movie had a $70 million budget. 20 million went to Mr. Ryan Reynolds here. 20 minutes went to Mr. Will Ferrell here. So, Spirited, I would say, has a interesting premise, a little bit meta, but so the idea is basically that the events of A Christmas Carol were not a one-time event. It's basically it's a thing that happens in heaven where a group of ghosts of Christmas, past, present, and future, and a support team pick one person a year to try to reach and try to change their lives.
You're still muted.
You lied to me, headset. Anyway, so you come across it and you realize that Will Ferrell's character is Ebenezer Scrooge, who has been the ghost of Christmas present for a long time. And now this leads to some logical questions, like people know the story of A Christmas Carol, so they kind of understand what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how did that happen? Especially with something that happens in the book or in the movie, which is kind of the crux of the movie. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but this is not a movie that necessarily rewards deeper analysis.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the positives. Ryan and Will both give good performances. Ryan is basically playing his character, who is deemed unredeemable, and Scrooge decides to try to fix him. He is a guy whose entire business is built on stirring division and hate on Twitter. It starts off with he's been paid by the Christmas Tree Growers Association to try and boost their sales. And so his strategy is to make hashtags where, real Christmas trees versus fake Christmas trees into a culture war issue. like your neighbor has an artificial Christmas tree. Is he lazy or does he just hate Jesus? that type of thing.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
So that's his entire thing. And Ebenezer is trying to redeem him.
Okay.
Now, there is a very tacked-on romance story where Ebenezer is spotted by one of Ryan's employees, and I forget if I think he he has a crush on her for whatever reason. I've been debating all week whether to bring up this observation or not. The person who they brought in is a fine actress. She is a good singer. She is not somebody that I think most people would fall in love with at first sight.
Oh, okay. I'm actually kind of curious who that is. Let me look it up real quick.
While you do that, and again, I don't want to body shame anybody. It's just that for a story like this, it's where you don't really give them a lot of good moments together. A little bit of shallowness would help kind of grease the wheels of our suspension of disbelief a little bit.
Is it Octavia Spencer?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's actually an opportunity because they did have a few jokes about him being very 19th century in some ways. You could have actually had a joke about that, where it's in our day, being plus size meant that you had access to more resources and were thus a better match or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, like so probably the best part of the movie was the bit where they got out of Ryan's past and ended up in Scrooge's past, because Scrooge pulled up his own history just to try to give him an idea of, look, if I could be redeemed, you can be redeemed.
Okay.
And the best part of it was, you find out that they see his past self, and he keeps saying, "Good afternoon," and "Good afternoon to you too, woman." Like, okay, everyone seemed very offended when you said that. Well, in the 19th century, "Good afternoon" was basically like "f off,"
Okay.
and so they turned it into a whole song, which
Uh,
was the most memorable song of the movie.
uh,
Which, let's go ahead and, so that's positive. So we had good performers. Everybody sang the songs that they were given well.
mhm.
And the set design was fun. I feel like you could almost make this happen on a Broadway stage.
Hmm.
Negatives. So, so I mentioned that. Let's see. Do I want to get into a bit of spoilers here? Um, I'm going to get into slight spoilers here. Uh,
Okay.
Also, I'm leaving a lot out of the plot of the movie because they aren't terribly interesting. They kind of play out the way you would expect.
Yeah, yeah.
But this is something that occurred to me just now as a mild problem. So people in this universe know the story of A Christmas Carol. They know who
Mhm.
Ebenezer Scrooge is. You kind of have to, in order for it to make an impact when Ryan finds out who he is, right?
Right. Yeah.
You learn that Scrooge's character turmoil, which is kind of interesting in my opinion, is
Mhm.
that he wonders, was I actually redeemed? Am I
Ah.
actually a better person now?
Mm.
uh, because you find out that he died 3 weeks after the events of A Christmas Carol.
Oh.
Because, as they put it in those days, the leading cause of death was January. The movie does have a few really amusing lines in there at different points,
Yeah.
and so you have to wonder, okay, if it had been more than, like, what did he tell the story to Charles Dickens? Did he, or yeah, how did Charles Dickens find out about this with a 3 week thing? If or did Scrooge quickly write down his memoirs and that's how people know it?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a bit of a leap in logic there.
Uh, did he tell Tiny Tim and Tiny Tim spread the story around?
Mm.
Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's, wait a minute, like, a little bit of a logical conundrum there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's like, okay, musicals have paper thin stories. They're an excuse to sing musicals and maybe see a dance routine.
Mhm.
Um, like, if you look at the plot of the Pirates of Penzance, it's ridiculous. Like, the pirates at the end go, "Oh well, we're all just lost peers. We're all good Englishmen, so I guess we'll stop fighting," even though we've been fighting the entire time.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and that's a great musical.
Yeah.
However, what I have to say as far as a problem with the musical is the music was done by Pasek and Paul, who you might remember from such musicals as Dear Evan Hansen, La La Land, The Greatest Showman, James the Giant Peach, and the A Christmas Story one.
Oh.
Um, and I have only ever the only thing I'd ever been exposed to them from was the Greatest Showman song, like the title song.
Right, yeah.
So that's a pretty decent song.
Yeah.
And then you find out I could not, like, if you put a gun to my head and said, hum one of the songs from Spirited or It's Your Life,
Yeah.
well, you better just kill me. Because 5 minutes
Yeah.
after that movie was done, I realized that I might, okay, do I actually know that Good Afternoon song? Or I realize, like, when I think about it, I realize I keep accidentally bringing in that "I've Got a Dream" song from Tangled.
Okay.
I keep going like, "Good afternoon." That isn't the right song. Damn it.
Yeah.
They're basically a couple. So Holy Ninja says hello, and hello, Holy
Oh,
Ninja. Yes, who these
oh,
guys
hey.
are. Again,
Yes.
they're a musical production group that's pretty well respected, and I don't see why,
Yeah.
because it has the problem of. Oh, in fact, they probably are the problem of modern musicals that we've heard people complain about, where the songs are barely songs.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
more just like wall of noise stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, with musicals, yeah, like you were saying, you have to be able to like have at least one of the songs in your head. I mean, if you go see Fiddler on the Roof and you aren't humming "If I Were a Rich Man,"
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Right. That's what makes Pirates of Penzance, and yeah, that's why people are still doing Gilbert and Sullivan 100+ years later,
yeah.
because damn, those songs are catchy.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Or in spite of all temptation. But
Ooh.
so back to the movie at hand here, and it ends in a way that's kind of interesting, but also kind of not at the same time, which is a strange way of putting it. But
Hmm.
it's like it juked in a way I didn't expect it to juke, but it's also like, okay, it's a logical way to end it because of things that happened.
Yeah.
There's some funny moments. There's a bit of bathos in a few scenes where it feels like it should have been more serious, but they threw in a joke. It's the Marvel it's the Marvel
Ugh.
curse.
Man, Marvel seems to have ruined years of movies.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, it's like, wait, you're rushing off to save a child from committing suicide.
Yeah.
Why is there why why is there a joke with the guy in the taxi?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
The
So,
funny thing is that
yeah.
for once I actually agree with Rotten Tomatoes. The the rating, it seems like everybody's just around where I'm at, like D+,
Hmm.
because on Rotten Tomatoes it's 68%, on IMDb it's 6.6. That's a fair rating
Okay.
because it's
Hmm.
not hateful or anything. It's just you watch it once, you move on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so not a Christmas classic.
No, although I'm told that my childhood church's pastor has declared this her favorite movie, and I don't know. Like
Mm.
there's certain buzzword things where it's like, you know how some people give things credit just because they bring up online bullying or other current issues.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wonder if she did that.
Probably. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I would say it's worth a watch with the family, but not, you know, even if they come out with a Blu-ray, don't buy it. I
Mm.
almost want to pull up the uh, uh, soundtrack on Spotify and see if I'm being too harsh on it, but
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
firm meh.
Meh. Okay. All right. Well, we've got my thing of the week here. From one Christmas movie, new Christmas movie to another. So I finally got around to watching A Christmas Story Christmas, which came out, dropped on HBO Max about 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Mhm.
And so this is I would say this is the true sequel to A Christmas Story. So
Mhm.
you've got Peter Billingsley, who's back as Ralphie, or Ralph, as some people call him, and pretty much almost the entire cast from the original movies back, except for two notable absences. One is, of course, Darren McGavin, who played the dad. He passed away in like the mid 2000s, and then the actress who played the mom is they didn't bring her back for whatever reason. She couldn't come back, so they had Julie Haggerty playing the mom. But So this is definitely a movie. If you liked the original movie, if you like the first one, you'll like this movie too. Um, they what I like about it is they pay tribute to the first movie,
Hmm.
but they try to make it its own separate thing. They try to do their own thing with it. And I think a lot of that is because Ralphie's an adult now, so Christmas is a different situation for him as an adult than when it was when he was a kid.
Hmm.
Um, Ninja Toe, that's a dumb title. Yeah,
I think it's on purpose.
yeah, I think so too. Yeah. But so the movie starts off. Ralphie is he's in I think he's like in his early 40s. He's got his own family. He has a wife and a son and a daughter, and they're living in south side of Chicago. And he's trying to trying to get a career as a writer. And he wrote
Mm.
a science fiction novel called Neptune's Oblivion, which is like 2,000 pages.
Oh my god.
And everybody tells him, yeah, it's really wordy. Uh, so so he's trying to get his career going. Unfortunately, all the publishers are rejecting him because this is 1973 is the year it takes place in.
Hmm.
So of course back then you had to, if you wanted to publish anything, you had to go through traditional publishing. There was no Amazon or anything like that. Um, and of course Christmas is coming up, and they work it into the plot of Ralphie's dad passes away, and so they have to go back to his hometown in Indiana. And of course his mom tells him, we don't we don't didn't want your father wouldn't want to let his death affect the holiday, so they wanted to celebrate Christmas as normal. And of course, Ralphie's just like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. He's just like in over his head. And so and it's like I said, there's a lot of nostalgia in there because they bring in like his two friends are back,
Hmm.
um and of course then you have one of the things I like is they don't focus on his kids too much. They do have a little bit of a subplot in there, but it's not distracting from the rest of the movie. And and it's just it's it's I thought it was really funny. Parts of it are really funny, and I don't want to give too much of the movie away. But there's a pretty funny scene in there where when they go to the department store and they're like, oh hey, go see Santa, and Ralphie tells his kids, don't let him kick you in the face.
So I'm going to make a confession.
Yeah.
It's going to seem weird. Like, you're putting me on. I have never actually seen A Christmas Story.
What? It's on every Christmas
I know, but
on TBS.
I've just never gotten around to watching it. It's
Oh,
not something I grew up with. My
oh wow.
sister hates it because her ex husband's family loved it, and
Oh,
Christmas Vacation.
oh,
So
okay.
uh, I so let me ask you this hypothetical question:
Okay.
if I accidentally stumbled into A Christmas Story Christmas without watching the first movie, would I just be completely confused?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, you have to know all the characters to kind of know what's going on in this movie. Yeah.
right, and they probably rightfully assume that most people have actually seen the movie.
Yes, yes. Yeah, because it sort of reminded me of Ghostbusters Afterlife with some of the
Okay,
nostalgia they do. Not as much though, not as much. But yeah, there's some stuff from the first movie that shows up in here, and yeah, it's and I gotta say I really liked Peter Billingsley in this. He was really funny. And I know he really doesn't. I don't think he doesn't really act as much these days. I think he's more behind the camera. But yeah, this I mean, if you liked, like I said before, if you liked the first movie, you'll like this movie. Yeah.
I wonder if he gets any sort of real royalties off of those movies being shown 24 hours straight every Christmas.
Yeah, maybe he might get a little check. Yeah. In Ninja Toast says he only watched it once. Family didn't like it much. And we watched Christmas Vacation. Yeah, the humor is very. I'm trying to figure out how to describe the humor. It's very kind of subtle, very subtle humor, but it's also like um, it's a little. I don't want to say mean spirit. It can be a little mean spirited, but not too. But it's in good fun though.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you've got HBO Max, actually, I think the first movie is on HBO Max too. So if you want to do a little Christmas thing where you want to watch the first one and then watch this one, just don't watch A Christmas Story 2.
Yeah, I remember you. I noticed you said there was a real sequel, and I did have vague memories of them trying to make a sequel a while back.
Yeah, about 10 years ago.
Didn't
And
go well.
no, I've never watched it, but I've seen clips from it, and it's really awful. It's so bad.
Okay.
But yeah. On to the next topic here.
Yes, you know who didn't have a particularly good Christmas?